Yeah, I know, it took us a while to review the Nexus 5, and there was a reason for it. Mainly because we were waiting to see whether we will see a big difference performance-wise on the recent Android 4.4.2 update. I'm Jens Garcia from Tech for Geeks, and this is our full review of the Google Nexus 5. Most of you will probably say that this is LG G2's brother, and I kind of agree to it in some ways, but there's a reason why this is called the Nexus 5. The Nexus 5 is packed with so many goodies, including a quad-core Snapdragon 800 processor, Adreno 330 GPU, and 2GB of RAM. More on that, it also has a 5-inch Full HD display and running the latest Android 4.4.2 KitKat, all of that for the price of $349 US. Pretty cheap, huh? The Nexus 5 is sleek, slim, well built for the price, and considering this is a 5-inch device, it's surprisingly light. It actually feels a little smaller than a 5-inch phone because of the narrow bezel. And let me put it next to the Galaxy S4 just to give you an idea, and there isn't much difference regarding the size. I wasn't a big fan of the smooth finish around the device due to fingerprint issues, but that is just me looking for some minor issues. Now, compared to the glass back on the Nexus 4, LG went with plastic this time with matte finish. The matte finish on the back reminds me of the HTC One X, and even though I got the white model, it didn't really attract any dirt, though it can get pretty greasy. The back isn't as white as well as I thought it would be, which I quite like. Because it's a Nexus device, you are stuck with the built-in storage, though you have the choice of either 16GB or 32GB. Now, if you're a heavy media user, then I suggest you pick up the 32GB, and the battery is also non-removable, which might be an issue to some of you, but we will cover that later on in this video. The overall design of the phone is definitely far away from its predecessor, from its earpiece to its physical buttons to the notification light. As you can see, it's been moved to the bottom. Speaking of the notification light, you now get different colors depending on the notifications. The Nexus 5 features a 5-inch Full HD 1080p display giving you a pixel density of 445 ppi. The display produces some nice colors, but I think what LG have done was they've lined up a varieties of 1080p displays and picked the cheapest one in order to reduce the cost. There's a backlight bleed if you look on the side, which is probably frustrating for others because it's noticeable, but hey, this is a $349 phone, so I can't really complain about it. It also uses an LCD IPS panel, which means this display is bright, perfect for outdoor use. We all know that Google loves to name their OS as some of our favorite sweets, and this year they named it KitKat. I can tell you right now that Android 4.4 is a major update in the Android ecosystem. Google recently released an update that will enhance Android 4.4's performance. This includes bugs and UI fixes, camera enhancement, and better battery performance. Personally, I love where Google is going with their OS. I guess they finally realized that they really need to focus more on improving the OS's performance rather than bringing out new software features. Similar to what Apple is doing, which is to make the hardware optimized with the OS. In fact, the minimum RAM required for KitKat is only half a gigabyte, which is great for low-end devices with low specifications. The Nexus 5 pretty much features the internals we love, so expect this to be a powerhouse. All I can say about the performance is that it's fast. In my opinion, this is the fastest Android OS yet. It's smooth and responsive, and even you open multiple applications, switching between the apps is not a problem. Google have also implemented ART or Android Runtime, which is in charge of handling applications execution, different way from Dalvik, which is the default runtime for Android. Now compared to the current runtime, Dalvik, which relies on JIT compiler in order to process bytecode. ART uses a different process called AOT, which means byte is precompiled into a different code, therefore startup time of applications will be faster. Well, there's probably no need for it for now, hence the reason why it's hidden, because this is still an experimental for Google and for developers to try out. But ART will definitely make a significant impact in the Android ecosystem. Visually, Android 4.4 isn't an overhaul update, but it certainly looks a lot more organized. Let's take a look at the lock screen first. What's new on the lock screen is the addition of quick camera access button. You'll have to hold it and then slide it to the left. You will also notice the arrow up button. That button is for Google Now. Hold the button and slide to access it. Going to the app drawer, you'll notice that the icons are a little bigger, and if you look at the top, there used to be app and widget tabs in there, but they are now gone. And that is because you'll have to hold the page on the home screen and then change the widget from there. You will also find your settings in there and also the new wallpapers. So that's a little tweak, but it really does make Android 4.4 more organized. So what else is new? Kind of similar concept to the Moto X, where Google Now is enabled right on the home screen. Just say, "Okay Google," and that will launch Google Now for you. You can set your alarm, call and text someone, or search for something on the web. If you want to find out more about Google Now, then check out our Moto X review. Speaking of Google Now, you also get a dedicated page for it, which you can disable by the way, if you don't want it. And I guess what Google is trying to do is for us to use a lot more of their applications rather than the others. Thanks to the addition of the LTE on the Nexus 5 for faster data speed and better call quality. Even the earpiece is tiny, call quality on the Nexus 5 is superb. It's loud, crisp, and rich. Though since it has a small earpiece, I had to make sure that I place it properly in order for me to hear the person who I'm talking to. One of the features that we were excited about the Nexus 5 has got to be its camera. I guess we were expecting so much from it after Google mentioned that they wanted to bring an advanced camera to the consumers. And unfortunately, that is not the case with the Nexus 5. The main problems with it is the autofocus and slow image processing. With Android 4.4.2, it seems as if every camera problems were gone. Well, not really. The autofocus is faster, but image processing seems to be an issue still when taking HDR photos. Loading up the camera is faster as well, and what I do miss is the zero shutter lag that was introduced on the Galaxy Nexus. Sadly, Google stopped bringing that out. The Nexus 5's camera isn't bad when taking photos overall. It's average and it's not going to give you a wow effect when you use it. It's lacking in contrast and photos do look washed out sometimes. Therefore, setting the camera to HDR Plus mode is a must in order to produce better images. Video recording is superb. It features optical image stabilization, which also helps when recording in low light situation. You know the saying, once you use OIS, you would not want to go back on a non-OIS camera. The microphone also captures great audio, it's crisp and clear, though depending on the surroundings, it can also be quite distorted. I did mention earlier that the Nexus 5 doesn't have a removable battery, which means you're stuck with its 2300 mAh battery. Battery life is fixed on Android 4.4.2, but that doesn't mean it will give you a better battery life. When I first got the Nexus 5, there are days where it will only last for 3 to 5 hours, and it's shocking. Thankfully, that's been fixed. I'm a heavy user. I use my phone to browse the web, watch videos and take photos, and all social media networks. To me, I would have to charge it twice in order for it to last for a full day, so an external battery charger is a must bring when you're traveling. The Nexus 5 is the best Google phone yet. It has all the specs you want, that just complements it very well. And if you're new to the Android world, then the Nexus 5 is a great start. It brings out the best of Google and not Android, I must say. You have all your Google services such as Google Drive, Google Plus, and Calendar, just to name a few. May I add the pricing as well? It's not a perfect Google phone and the OS really needs more work, as some parts of the OS doesn't make any sense, like for example having 2 gallery applications are useless. I don't know why it's there in the first place anyway, but as I've mentioned, Android 4.4 is the best Android OS yet. This will make a huge impact to the upcoming Android devices that will feature the OS. So there you have it, the Google Nexus 5, and if you enjoyed this video, then definitely make sure to hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Feel free to share this video as well, and definitely follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and Instagram for more videos including our 2014 CES coverage. As always, I'm just Garcia from Tech for Geeks, and I'll see you all in the next one.